downfall of Democrats. I love Shionhead's videos. They're so good. They really are. Becoming one of my new favorite content creators. I love her. She has really good takes. That's my thing. Really good fucking takes.
Consequential elections in recent history.
By the way,
key support.
Sorry, I'm gonna have to pause already. When I see stuff like that, where people act all like, I don't know, they act like children. They act like fucking children. Shit like that pisses me off. I don't know what it is. I'm just like, listen, I get it. Like, you want someone. It's kind of like rooting for a football team. You ever start seeing like, I like to say normies. Ever see like normies like just rooting for one specific team and like everyone else is like the devil? Like, I remember having an uncle that loved, who was it? Was it Peyton Manning? And he could do no wrong. He can do no wrong, and if you ever talk shit to him, he would just fucking obliterate you. Whether it was with words or with, especially if he was drinking, that man would start swinging. I've never liked that. I've never liked that.
We'll go to Donald Trump.
It's clear now that
it just reminds you of like a bunch of kids, or even frat boys.
Among Hispanic
yeah, it is adult children.
Things that he said.
Donald Trump will win the state.
Oh, by the way, I want you to hear that.
Clear now that Donald Trump has picked up key support among Hispanic voters, despite all the things that he said.
That is crazy to me. So Hispanic voters, do you remember back in 2016 when he first won, where he was like saying like, hey, we're going to build a wall and they're going to pay for it. You know that it's bad. Like when it comes to like, you know, Democrats and Republican stuff, when even the Hispanics are like, well, let's go for Donald Trump still. Because let me tell you, if it's anything like how my family is, they don't forget. They hold grudges. Now, I'm well aware that's probably not every single one of them, but I am convinced that it's a good chunk. It's a good fucking chunk. So it's crazy to me. It's crazy to me how, I guess, not split that it was. It was just more like heavy on when it comes to Trump. Because I'm pretty sure he won by a landslide. I'm trying to remember the exact numbers.
The state of Georgia will
well, there it is.
Former President Donald Trump.
The evening was getting increasingly somber as people realized what this map is looking like.
CNN projects that Donald Trump will win the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Kamala Harris is not winning.
So you won't hear from the vice president tonight?
Didn't they have like a whole thing ready for her? Because they just assumed that she was going to win? I wasn't exactly sure. It was like a whole stage and everything just like boom, ready to go. And I think the moment that she lost, they fucking pushed that shit away like ASAP. I was like, listen, never ever just assume you're gonna win. Like, and this is for anything. Don't just like have this stuff all pre-fucking planned. Because to me personally, that's it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. I'm just like, oh my God, no. Because then everyone has to put everything away and just everyone just starts. And especially, okay, hold on. Little off topic. One of my favorite things, and maybe this makes you a little toxic. Maybe this makes me a little toxic. I mean, maybe I'm a tad bit. Just saying. Also, Devin, thank you so much for the Prime. I appreciate that. Like, I love seeing the videos afterwards of people freaking out. Crying and freaking out and screaming. Like, I don't know why, but that just makes me laugh so much. Because again, it reminds you of adult babies. Crying because you didn't get what you wanted. And that could have been on fucking both ends. Again, stuff like that to me just makes me laugh. I'm just like, I don't know. Again, I understand you're really upset because you didn't win. But at the same time, like that, like, come on now. Like that, I don't know. Just, it makes me laugh.
News Decision Desk can now officially project that Donald Trump will become the 47th president
I think
of
he's
the
so
United
funny.
States.
Do you really think that the Democratic Party is fighting for you? The overwhelming answer is.
By the way, I heard, and I'm trying to remember for past presidential elections, I heard this one was a landslide. Like, I'm trying to remember. I know that when he tried to run against, was it Hillary? I think it was very close. 2020, I think that was also close, I think. I can't remember. God, I'm telling you, I can't tell if it's just because I'm getting old or if I just literally just do not pay attention to politics. But if I remember correctly, this was a fucking landslide. Like, I'm trying to remember what I was doing whenever this was happening. I think I was watching a little bit, but like once I saw like just Trump was just zooming by, I'm like, well, that is our president. Just like that was my fucking thought. I was like, boom, there it is. And sure enough, it happened. I was like, okay, crazy. And said, listen, call it a hunch.
No.
Oh, did she really, Ying? I had no idea. By the way, somebody told me in the comments from the last like video, somebody told me, oh, she doesn't drink Monster no more. I guess they were wrong.
Well,
I guess they were wrong.
What have we learned? Nothing, apparently. I regret to inform you, everything I predicted about the election in my last video came true and more. Men did overwhelmingly turn out for Trump, especially young men.
And also women. Like I said, there is a lot of women. Lots of women that actually like, again, everyone in the mom says like every single woman will go off to the hard left. But there was a lot of women that were like, no, we're going to go and head off to the Trump side of things. A lot of the times from what I've seen, like they just don't say nothing. They don't say anything. And if they did, they're not going to tell their friends. Because here's the thing. A lot of the time, especially with the last video that we were doing, there's a lot of people that get a little extreme. Like, you know how many divorces? Do you know how many freaking like friendships lost, divorces, people dating just completely just gone just because of like the presidential election stuff? To me, I think that's super silly. I think that's super fucking silly. But like I said, people take this shit pretty fucking seriously. Pretty fucking seriously. To the point where people are like, hey, if you can't do this, if you can't vote for my fucking person, for the person that I fucking want, then we're just not going to be like together. I don't know. Listen, chat, I have a question. How do you guys feel about that? To me, I think that's a little much. That's a little much. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm fucking wrong. Maybe the way I see politics is just stupid. Again, the meltdown, stuff like that, to me, dumb. But at the same time, someone could be like, yeah, fuck that. You're fucking wrong. And you know, if I am, whatever, like I'm still going to keep my fucking like opinion when it comes to this stuff. But it is something that I'm like curious about, because there's a lot of stuff that I like read and see. I'm like, oh, that's so dumb. But some people like really take that shit seriously. Yes, the meltdowns are like, again, I can't tell you how many times I'll like see a video with that or someone screaming or be like, I can't believe this. And I'm just like, you're so fucking stupid. And the weirdest part, the funniest part is that they recorded it and they uploaded it. I don't understand that. It's like, you look like a fucking idiot. And then to top it off, you're going to like literally post it yourself. I'm like, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? Makes you feel like as if this is what you wanted. And like, to me personally, makes you feel like it's like, how should I say? Going for attention. Mainly want like attention. And that's probably what it is. Clout, attention. Like ever since I started streaming, I never knew how strong that was. I never knew how strong people will just, people will do anything for it. Just a little taste, a little sliver. Like it's gross if you ask me. It's gross.
I was wrong about one thing. Young men weren't the only ones who came out in droves for Trump. Nearly everyone did. The madman took everything, every swing state, Pennsylvania, Georgia, my home state, New York, was closer to flipping red than Florida was to flipping blue. Turns out Dick Cheney is brat wasn't the best message to win over voters.
Well, we went over on the last video we were talking about like how, hold on a minute, I had to sit up. Democratic parties, especially like for females trying to talk to men, a lot of times they were getting bullied. They're getting talked down to be like, hey, vote for this, vote for us now, like be a part of something that like, even though some people probably were more democratic leaning for some guys, because I do know that there was, we talked about women and we talked about a lot of people being very extreme, more or less talking down to guys. I mean, like, hey, by the way, you better do this, but you're still a piece of shit because you are a male, a white male, or just in general for like any male. I know that white guys get a lot. They get a lot of fucking issues. I mean, we've seen many videos on that, but I know just males in general, you guys kind of get fucked over, especially. So I know a lot of people are like, fuck that, I'm done, and they've been moving over to the other side. And honestly, I don't blame you. Like I said, that's something where it's like, hey, why try to vote and why try to be part of a group that doesn't like you? Why vote for someone when they're just going to like more or less belittle you? Unless you're into that shit. If you're into that shit, hey, that is, I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is, but do whatever you want.
It really had me thinking, damn, did we steal that election? So what happened here? How did it go so wrong? Is it too late for the Democratic Party, or can they turn this around? Will the Democrats learn from this, or will they double down and get worse?
You know the answer.
In this video, I'm going to go through all the excuses and the copes the Democrats and the broader left are coming up with to avoid accountability.
Let me just say this, regardless of what party you're a part of, or just in general, if you're like me that doesn't really, like, you know, could care less, either side would probably double down. I'm going to be real with you, because nobody ever wants to be wrong. No one ever wants to be wrong. And when they have a stance, we talk about like trying to, how should I say, you can't reason somebody out of something that they're just already going to believe in. That's just it. So to the point where, like, even if someone loses, left, right, whatever, they're just going to double down with it. And next year, they hope that people will understand. They'll be like, oh, did you see what they did this year? Like, I can't believe this person did this and this. So like, then, you know, might sway off to one side and sway off to the other. We just live in a time now where like people don't learn. It is unfortunate. Makes you sad because I'm just like, why do we have to be so tribalistic when we can learn? We can understand people's thoughts, why they do the things that they do, how to treat people. Because we talked about the democratic side of things, and it's just like, hey, maybe don't do that to your men. Maybe don't do that to your voters. Maybe don't try to blackmail people. Don't try to like belittle people. Because if you don't do that, maybe next time, maybe you'll have more people on like your side. It's not sad though, is that even if you believe in something, like from the, how should I say, the Democratic side, like because you're being belittled, because you have people on your side that literally are pieces of fucking dog shit, you're like, I don't want this. So it's sad. It really is.
Read some silly tweets, watch some silly news clips, and even give the Democratic Party some advice on how to win 2028. Don't worry, Republicans watching this. They won't listen. Maybe in 2050, under the barren Trump monarchy, someone might come to their senses. But
they won't listen. See? Thank you.
But not anytime soon. If you only watched or read most mainstream liberal news, it really seemed like Kamala had this in the bag, which is why you should try to get your news from a variety of different sources.
I agree. Like, that is something that you should be doing just in general. If someone's like, oh, this is great, you should check this out, or hey, you should get this product, or anything, like, please double check. Please make sure, like there are multiple people that are probably talking about said thing, said topic, said product. Like, you need to double check just in case. Just because one person says yes does not mean that it's always going to be good. Like, that's with anything. That is with anything in life. Like, you have to. Because here's the thing, there's, especially nowadays when everyone has such a strong opinion with everything, you have to.
Oh, that reminds me. Before we dive into this election dissection, let's give a quick shout out to today's sponsor, a sponsor I've been working with for over 4 years now, Ground News.
By the way, last video, because I was checking through the comments, because I do check through the comments. So if you want to comment something, like, feel free. I may not be able to catch everybody, but I do try my best. I'm gonna be real with you. I do try my best. A lot of people said that they actually have done, because I think she was going over the shaving. She was going over the shaving kit. I'm not exactly sure what exactly that was called again, but it's cool. It was interesting to find out that a lot of people actually do a lot of these ads, and that was just more of a YouTube thing. I'm very new to YouTube. So there's a lot of stuff where I'm like, do people even like use this? People even try? So it's interesting to see that some of this stuff actually does work. People hate ads, don't get me wrong. Not the biggest fan of them either, but it's cool to see. It really is.
Ground News is a website and an app that gives readers an easy and transparent way to read the news all across the
It kind of made me, okay, honestly, I wasn't sure if they had a female version of them, but the blades did look nice, not gonna lie. Listen, I've been looking for a brand new razor too. Also, Broca, thank you for the raid, by the way. Thank you.
Every story comes with a quick visual breakdown that helps you understand the full story and makes sure you're getting both sides. One of my favorite features of Ground News is the blind spot feature, which shows you what news stories have been covered by one side of the political spectrum and ignored by the other. For example, here is a story.
I have a question. And I'm sorry, I'm gonna be pausing a lot. That's just my thing. How many people do watch news? Like, actually, I personally do not. Left, right, somewhere in the middle. I just don't. A lot of the times, and this is actually a proven thing, they're all swayed. Everyone's going to have, like, the news is either going to be off of one heavy, like, left side or one heavy right side. It's all swayed. It really is. So sometimes for me, it's like, hey, I just feel like a lot of times these news, is there, I guess, sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to, like, say this, but where does one even get something that's more neutral? I don't think you can. I don't know. Yet refuse to watch news. Honestly, I can't. Like I said, the only thing I used to watch back when, even when I was like active duty, the only time I would ever like watch it if they're like, hey, by the way, we're going to war. I'm like, oh boy, I cannot wait to go to war again. That's awesome. Which, by the way, hopefully shit like that doesn't happen. So listen, to my fellow troops that are still in, I wish you luck. I just barely left, so I wish you luck. Hell, if anything, I think I'm still in the range for like getting pulled back in for another deployment. I forget the amount of years that you're like, hey, you're good. I can't remember. Somebody probably knows inside the chat, but I'm not exactly sure.
About how Bernie Sanders is open to working
and bias
with
is
Trump
fine,
on
but people such networks need to be honest
and
about it.
23
But they never
sources
will.
on it, and
They never will.
89% are right-wing. No left-wing sources have covered the story. And this story about how 2 women have told the ethics panel that Matt Gaetz paid them for sex. 31 sources, 61% of them left-wing.
I wonder if if this app actually is like good. Because again, like we were talking about sources, being able to get multiple like people to say like, hey, this is good, this is not. Of course, having many people be like, hey, this is pretty much a solid product, or hey, this is pretty much what's going on. That's something to kind of look into, like most definitely. And again, I like to say products because like, again, when you're buying something like for Black Friday, whenever that was going on, you want to make sure that, hey, something that you're looking into, that you're interested in, is actually decent. It's actually decent. That's why in Amazon, I always look for reviews. Be like, hey, how is this? So, because if you get something fucking shitty, then why fucking even buy it? Wasting fucking money. Especially in this economy.
You can even see who owns
like,
these
I save my money the best I possibly can.
Also makes it really easy and fun to compare headlines to see how ownership or political bias can affect the framing of a story. For example, this story about how a man was arrested after allegedly a stabbing spree in Manhattan that left 2 dead and 1 injured.
Off topic, this is not the same fucking thing. I would like to maybe go over the whole situation that we have with that one guy right now. And the CEO and stuff like that. I mean, what is that? The healthcare CEO and then that one guy. Oh God, I can't remember his fucking name. I'm not exactly sure if that's like, I'm not sure if he's like legitimately caught and that is the person. Yeah, exactly. The United Health, Luigi. I can't believe that he has a great name.
This left-wing outlet says, man arrested after alleged stabbing spree in Manhattan that left 2 dead, 1 injured. This right-wing outlet says, 2 dead, 1 critically injured in Manhattan as knife-wielding maniac launches unprovoked stabbing spree. I have been using Ground News since 2021 and I am
sometimes
obsessed.
When we talk about, like, when you see stuff like that, that's how the news is nowadays. Like, if you're, again, from one side or the other from political shit, sometimes you'll have something that sounds a little bit less extreme, and then others are like, hey, this person is a murderer, a terrorist. It's that's why I don't like the news. I don't like the news. It's too biased from one side or the fucking other. Yeah, it's very clickbaity. And again, you look into that and you're like, it's not that bad. Exactly. It's the fear mongering. Sounds terrible.
With this app, it is a great and easy way to.
But at the same time, people do be clicking on that. That's like the shit that like your mom will be fucking clicking on, your papa, your grandmother, your grandmama. Like, that stuff catches their fucking attention. Now, we, as the semi-younger audience, like, we don't usually get caught up with a lot of that. Well, most of us anyway. Because we know people be crazy. Like, and if you're on YouTube a lot, like, you'll see that a lot. Be like, did they really just, like, do that? Or, like, or on Twitch where they'll be like, you know, clickbaity titles. We're kind of used to that. So, like, the older generation, that's like, oh my God, what just happened?
stay informed. Plus, it really helps me see how both sides frame the same story so differently. Best of all, for Black Friday, I am offering 50% off their Vantage plan, which is the plan I use to access all their amazing features. This is their biggest discount of the year, so go to ground.news/shoe,
Anyone use
the
this?
QR code here on the screen, or use the link in the video description down below, and subscribe today for only $4.16
I've never done a sponsor before.
per month.
I've never done a sponsor, and I kind of like to keep it that way for now.
It helps approach the news in a more
I like keeping it that way for now, but like, yeah,
I feel like we really need that
yes,
nowadays.
no.
So thank you, Ground News, for
Seems to be
sponsoring
like
this
a middle.
video, and thank you, the viewer, for not skipping the ad. Right? And now let's get back
I'm
to
here.
this
I got you.
election
Listen.
dissection.
You gotta support your people. If you like someone's content, like support them. Support them.
Shall we?
There's no point in saying good morning, because it certainly is not one.
I hate that shit. I hate that shit. I don't know who the fuck you are, but listen, I'm assuming you are a woman in power, and you can't be saying that shit. That shit is so biased. It is so biased. I hate that shit. Like, listen. It sounds like you're a little crybaby. It sounds like you would be like my daughter, where she was just like, you know, she's like, I didn't like this. I'm sad. I'm like, yes, but in your situation, you're an old woman in power, probably with the government. Again, I don't know who this person is, but like stuff like that is just the lack of respect. And here's the thing, especially for like my military members, like, you already know when it comes to the person, you're a brand new president, regardless of if you like them or not, you have to support them, because again, that is your chain of fucking command. So that is a rule. Regardless of how you feel about that. So I feel like we should definitely have that same kind of morale, that same kind of like structure in the real world too, including people that are in power in the government. I don't know. To me, that should be just common sense. That should just be common sense.
From blaming the American people to blaming Joe Rogan, the Democrats and the media are having a hard time coping with their loss, and I don't blame them. It was a pretty
Exactly. Do
big
your own
loss.
research.
Embarrassing, quite frankly. Donald Trump overperformed in nearly every state, with basically every demographic, and the entire country seems to be shifting more red. Everyone was so sure dangerous, devious, dastardly Donald would never make his way back into the White House to steal democracy.
Well, if you think about it, so first off, Kamala started late, and also not to mention what she was saying and what she was doing was a lot of things that a lot of people are like, okay, and what people care about is very fucking simple. We want to know, hey, what's going to change with our economy? What's going to be changing with, for me personally, very simple. When are groceries going to get dropped? I want to have somebody that can help me with my daily normal living. And that's what a lot of people want. We don't care about like, I like to say woke shit. I like to say stuff that's like, again, progressive stuff, whatever. Like, that's great. That's awesome. But I really care about just like my normal living, how should I say, how I live, how like my grandmama lives, how my family lives. I want to make sure that they're in a good spot. I want somebody to kind of be like, hey, we're going to take action here. I'm like, awesome, easy. Awesome, easy, done.
And he did it. With democracy. Anyway.
Not saying that that's what he's doing right now, but at least from my understanding, when I was watching debates and stuff like that, it seems like that's where it was kind of leaning towards, where he was trying to jump in more towards like, hey, we got a plan. Now, again, to be honest with you, that's what Kamala was saying also. So like, there's a lot of like, how should I say, people are going to say one thing and they'll be like, no, well, she said this. It's like, well, no, he said this. Again, it's like a he said, she said thing. But at least from what people were telling me and how like, even like my grandmama was saying, or even my mom was saying, I was like, hey, like, I didn't like how Kamala said this, so I think I might go this. It's simple stuff. How is it going to help me and my family? That's the things that we're looking for. As Americans, you can ask anybody, how can it make it so I can get more money for my family? Easier, like, be easier access to healthcare, easier access to being able to fucking afford like groceries. When they say, hey, in this economy, that's not a joke. That's real life shit. No one can afford nothing. No one can afford nothing unless I got 2 jobs. I'm trying to make sure that I save my own money. I'm like, hey, now, again, not saying that one side was going to do it or fix it compared to the other, but like what I will say is a lot of people just did not believe in Kamala's plan, from my understanding. So, you know, there is that.
Wait, I got a lot of comments on my last video like, wait, you're left-wing and you hate the Democrats? Yeah, man, that's a pretty common thing. If you were shocked that I'm left-wing, maybe that's a sign you need to take a step back and evaluate some of the preconceived stereotypes you have of people. Not all of us are crazy blue-haired socialists, no. Some of us are crazy brown-haired socialists.
Felt that. Again, like I said, I am not somebody that has a picked side, but what I will say is whichever side to me is going to be able... Sorry, sometimes, like, especially when it comes to political things, like, it's hard to word it because someone's gonna be like, I can't believe you fucking said that. I'm like, listen, what I'm trying to go for, what things that I believe in is simple shit. It's simple shit. How is it gonna help me and my fucking family? And a lot of things when it comes to, like, political things or even election things is like, hey, like for the Democrat side of things, people see a lot of them as blue-haired crazy bitches. I don't want to be associated with that. I just want to be somewhere in the middle. I just want to be somewhere in the middle. Not saying that I pick one side or lying the other. I could care less. I could care less. And a lot of people would agree with me.
But for those of you who are new here, hello,
I'm not
I am
good with politics stuff either. I hate it. I hate it.
If you ask the left wing, I am Hitler. Fiscally far left, culturally centrist, socially retarded. But
see, and that's what I mean right there. Regardless of how you see things or how your plan is, there's always going to be somebody that's like, you know what, fuck you for this, or you know what, fuck you for this. You're never going to make everyone happy. So stick with your guns. If you like this, awesome. If you want this and this, awesome. If you want to pick one side or the other, I could care less. Listen, as long as you're a normal human being, that has decent thoughts and lets people live without trying to kill people, perfect. Done. Politics to me, tribalism. Fucking hate tribalism because all they do is like you'll pick one side or the other, or you'll pick one thing that you really like, and then that's it. Everything else does not matter. It's not normal. That's not the way that we should be thinking. As humans, we're supposed to be the most complex species out there, species out there, and you're telling me you pick one thing, boom, done. It's like, you're not gonna think about anything else? You're not gonna see it, their side of things? Like, nope. It makes you feel like they're actually fucking stupid.
if you really must put me in a box, it's not that hard to pin me down. I'm a populist. Think Huey Long if he was a 5'3" Italian New Yorker woman who still did her hair and makeup like it was 2008. Put a pin in that Huey Long name, by the way. He's gonna come up later. I grew up in the 90s.
Never heard of them before. Not really good when it comes to politics. Even though I'm going over a video that involves, like, politics. That's why I'm like, you know, take my word with a grain of salt.
In the 2000s, my political awakening was jibjab.com. The first time I voted for Obama. I was ready for that hope and change.
I did the same thing.
Instead, we got the crushing of Occupy Wall Street and more drone strikes. And from there, it only got worse.
During that time, though, I knew nothing about anything politics related. I was pretty much, here's the thing. I was pretty much like, hey, this is all the good things I heard from him. And not saying he was bad. Like, if anything, like, you know, that's the hard things when it comes to politics. Like, again, when, like, I say, oh, it wasn't always bad there, someone could be like, oh, do you remember this and this? I'm like, yes, I remember this and this. It's like, yes, I understand, but I'm sure someone's going to say something about Trump, and someone would have said something about, like, Kamala. Or Kamala, is that her name? I don't know. Fucking terrible at names. Point is that you're never going to be right with this stuff. So just stick with your guns. Stick with things that you like. Stick with things that you believe in. At the same time, though, if there are things that people want to talk about or things that they're like, hey, by the way, I believe in this. Like, how do you feel about this? I feel like even if you have a strong stance with something, listen to people. Try to understand them. Like, people don't want to understand nobody nowadays. Like, I hate that. Again, it's just makes you feel like we have simple, she said it, like, just simple fucking small brains. Like, I can't help it. Like, I hate it.
I voted for
we're
Bernie
supposed to be complex, and we're just not.
And I watched as the Democratic Party did everything in their power to destroy this man twice. So it is safe to say I am a little biased when it comes to the Democratic Party, but I don't think I've hated them more than I do right now. The truth is, my last video was way meaner and way harsher than the final product turned out to be. When I showed the video to my assistant, he basically had an intervention with me, and he was like, listen, you need to soften this up a bit. It's a few days before the election. You went too hard. Well, the election is over, and I'm sorry, River, but I'm going hard.
That's why I like her. You know, stick with your guns. Some people are going to be like, oh, you shouldn't do this because, like, hey, you're going to get a lot of backlash and stuff like that. But here's the thing. If you believe in this stuff, who cares? Who cares? Who cares? Stick with your guns. It's so simple. Like, it's so simple. Stick with your guns.
You idiots. You morons. You imbeciles. Kamala Harris? Really? That's who you threw up there? The one who dropped out before Iowa? The one who got blown the out by Tulsi Gabbard?
One thing that I would say, there's a lot of stuff that I have no idea with, but one thing I will say is that, like, I mean, mom was saying it too, and so was my papa, because again, like I said, they're both like military, they're both retired now. She's been in office, you know, she was what, vice president? And one thing that I would say was that a lot of things that, like, we have concerns with, issues with, a lot of people are like, hey, you were already in office, why didn't you fix this? So that was one of the biggest, like, complaints that people had. They're like, hey, we have this problem, why didn't we finish this earlier? Now, again, right or wrong, I'm not exactly sure. I don't know how much power she had. But one thing I will say is that that was one of the big issues that people had when they were voting. They're like, hey, why didn't you fix this while you were in? So that's some things that I would hear from my family, from people, like from my friends. Like, that stuff is on people's minds. Because again, if they have issues and you've already been in office, even if you're not the actual president, they're like, why didn't you lean towards this? Like, I don't know if you guys feel like the same way, but, like, you know.
Why didn't you hold a primary? Aren't you the fucking saviors of democracy? Where the was the democracy? Oh, big congratulations to Tim Walz on being the first white male DEI hire. It didn't work. The DNC completely neutered that guy, reduced him to this weird token white man. Hello, fellow men, I too play football, but hey!
That's the one guy that was talking about, like, hey, I'm gonna be your cheerleader. I was actually looking inside the comment section of, like, the last video, and I like to say somebody that would, like, instead of being a cheerleader, somebody that rallies upon somebody that you believe in, aka, you know, him from being vice president to the actual, you know, rally towards the new president, excuse me. And I like that better because, like, being someone that's a cheerleader, someone that's, like, soft, I like to say, people don't want that. People want change in the sense of, like, hey, we don't want soft. We want to be able to say what we want, to be able to do what we want, and not be monitored, if that makes sense. So a lot of the times people see that for Democrats nowadays. So it's stuff like that where, like, people are like, no, I don't want to be a part of that. I don't want to rally with that.
Hey, men weren't the only demographic you completely dropped the ball with. Trump made incredible gains with women, too. Oh, and all those never
people that are hard. I meant to say people that are more sturdy.
Old, respectable GOP. You know, the old, respectable GOP that led us into a pointless war that cost us trillions of dollars and millions of lives. But we're at least nice on Twitter. That GOP. Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I mean. It's like, hey, we have all these issues. We have all these problems, but at least they're nice. I like to say it's like the PC. It's PC culture. I don't like PC culture. Like, here's the thing. I am all about progression. I'm all about changing things that actually are going to help out with the world. But at the same time, though, those are not the things that we should be worrying about right now. We should worry about our people, what's going on over the border, what's happening inside of our economy. There's a lot of simple things, a lot of things where people are like, hey, this is the main concern that we have. But at least they're nice, though. It's like, nobody cares. Nobody cares. I'd rather you be upfront. I'd rather you being able to, like, tell me, like, hey, this is how it is. And nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to be able to be like, hey, this is how it is.
Yeah, they didn't come out and vote for your ass either. So you got Liz Cheney to tag along for what? For f***ing what? You raised $1 billion and ended up $20 million in debt? Where the hell did all that money go? Maybe you should have blown it all on celebrity appearances that did nothing. Or maybe it was spending 6 figures on a single-use set for the Call Her Daddy podcast that didn't even hit 1 million views. I want to see a full
people
audit
didn't
of
care.
This campaign, because I wouldn't be surprised if this was all like a big money laundering scheme, because honestly, that makes more sense than this being a legitimate presidential campaign. Then, they had the audacity to beg their supporters for money after she lost. How about you? How about every DNC consultant should have this map sewn onto the inside of their eyelids? May they never have a peaceful wink of sleep for the rest of their miserable lives. So that is
like
how
your
I
energy.
feel about
I like your energy. See, that's the energy I need right there.
the whole situation. But what do Democrats and the media think? What do they think the Harris campaign did wrong? Why do they think Kamala lost?
I think Harris ran a really good campaign. If there's one person I do not blame for this loss, it is Vice President Harris.
This is gonna be a long fucking video. The media this morning saying Dems need to have a reckoning. No, we don't. We can't be blamed because we expected Americans to be who they always claim they are. Democrats don't have a messaging problem. America has a racism problem.
I am so tired of hearing racism. Like, we've had fucking racism for a long time. And don't get me wrong, it's not like I'm like support racism. Like, I'm just like, it's not like I'm like, yeah, fuck them. But like, I'm just like, can we like talk about another problem? Can we talk about another problem, please? Like, please, anything but that. One of the things I've been seeing as of late, and again, Twitter's fucking toxic. Please don't go on fucking Twitter, please and thank you. Especially if you want to have just a little bit of brain cells left. The most recent thing that I've been seeing is like, what is it? It's like people, Asian artists that are drawing like anime characters, and people are starting to change like their skin color because they want to draw whichever way they want to. Again, I could fucking care less. Again, it's a fucking drawing, and people are like, well, you don't like this because it's fucking racism. And I'm just like, can we not just talk about racism every 2 seconds? Like, please. It's annoying. It's annoying. Like, it's annoying. It's annoying. I mean, again, I get it. Like, there are certain things that I'm just like, oh yeah, that fucking sucks. But at the same time though, it's like, can we talk about anything else? Please, please. Always go back to racism. It's like, chill. Please chill.
Kamala ran a flawless campaign in 100 days. And
is it annoying? It is annoying. It is. Because here's the thing. I feel like that's all we hear nowadays is like, this is racist. This is racist. This is racist. I'm like, it's like, can we talk about something else, please? I mean, again, don't get me wrong. It's not like we don't have that problem. It's not we've had a racist problem for a long time. And again, you'll see a lot of that on social media. You want to know where you won't see that? If you get off of social media. You may see it off in like the real world, but at the same time, you won't see it every fucking day. I can't tell you how many times I go on like my social, because again, I feel like I have to, because again, I put on like my schedules, I put on like my art, like, you know, a lot of stuff like that, but I can't help but not see it. And I'm just like, please, can we not do this again?
Let y'all gaslight.
I don't know. I'm not sure if you guys feel the same, like the same way. Just, I don't know. I don't like it.
One at that.
I mean, this really was an historic,
yeah, exactly. I just don't want to hear it anymore.
Run campaign.
Listen, I'm no political analyst, but
you know, I like that.
Seems like
I like that. It says, yes, the problem is it's the only topic. There's just always something. It's always something. It's like, can't we talk about something else? Especially when we're talking about like political stuff. Again, that's why I don't like to go over like political stuff. I do like Shoe on Head though. She's very smart. I like her. But point I'm trying to make is that there's always something. You're like, oh, like again, the way that I said that there, I'm sure there'll be someone in the comment section or comment section. There it is. English. Where someone's going to be like, well, why don't you believe in this? Why don't you stand for this? I'm like, well, it's not like I liked seeing that. Listen, I'm light. I am brown. I am light brown, and people fucking talk shit to me too. Yes, I get it. But at the same time though, people just talk shit. People just talk shit. Don't worry about them. Don't worry about them. They probably don't like they probably do not like their life. They probably don't. So just let them be miserable. They're going to talk shit to you, and they're going to talk shit to somebody else. But you have to remind yourself, like, hey, this person is literally probably feeling so good that they, you know, they changed something. They changed like the world because they wrote a tweet. And it's like, yeah, I feel good. But really, they live in their mom's house, not doing anything, no job, no nothing. They're just literally just putting something out there thinking that they did something. You didn't do nothing. You didn't do nothing. You didn't fucking do jack shit.
Big flaw. Truly, don't overthink it. It's because she's a woman, she's a black woman. Don't overthink it. In fact, don't think about it at all.
And Kamala Harris lived up to our dreams. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
I understand that some people don't want to see a woman as president. You know, the biggest thing that I always see is this. People are like, hey, like, what if she's on her period one day and she just shoots off missiles against like other countries? I'm like, that's not how it works. That's not how it works. Again, of course, and also people don't like black people. Like when it comes to women and black people, if that makes sense. Again, it's the whole racist thing. I understand that. Again, something that we see every fucking day. But again, it seems to be the only topic, the only thing that people are like, oh, this is why that it happened. And this is why that it happened. Like this and this and this. I'm like, yeah, but at the same time though, there's a lot of topics. There's a lot of things that people just didn't want to stand by. Like, I don't know. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but like, that's just something that I always see where it's like, that's the number one thing. And I'm like, well, it's not. It's not. Don't get me wrong. It's not like people don't like want to see it because of that. But at the same time though, it's like, that's some brain dead. That is some brain dead fucking topics. Like, people just look at this one simple thing and I'm like, I don't like that. It's like, there was more than just that. You know, there's more than just that.
She ran a remarkable 107-day emergency campaign full of joy and hope.
Kamala Harris was the perfect candidate, and she ran a beautiful campaign of joy, empathy, and unity. Joy and empathy and unity.
That is the thing that people don't really care two shits or a fuck about. People want to see actions. People want to see somebody that's going to stand strong. We live in a time now where a lot of people think like everyone's sensitive. Everyone's sensitive. Everyone is, or not. America doesn't have a backbone. That's what a lot of people think nowadays. And to be honest with you, sometimes it's kind of like that. It do be like that. And that's my thing is like, hey, people want to see a change. People want to see a change. And I think that's why a lot of people are going more Republican than it is Democratic, because I feel like a lot of people feel like it's just no fucking backbone.
It doesn't motivate people to go to the polls. No wonder Republicans had
Why
an
do you
incredible
pause a lot?
turnout.
I always
so many
do.
Democrats stayed home. This isn't Steven's universe. You just can't like joy and empathy and unity your way out of not being able to afford food for your family. CNN has a story titled,
I was just saying the same fucking thing. It's like people just want to be able to afford food for their family. I've used this example before, but when I was still married with my 2 kids, I would be able to, you know, like at a decent wage, be able to get, you know, their food, everything else at a decent like price. Now the same price for 2 people now instead of 4. Like, it is just one of those things now where, like, you know, the prices are going higher and higher. People can't afford it. People can't afford it. Again, I think of my nana, my freaking abuela, my freaking grandmama. These people can barely afford to live. And I'm just like, this is what people want to see. Changes. Simple things like that. Again, friendship and being nice and friendly and everything else, people could care less. We want to see changes. And a lot of times they want to see somebody with a backbone.
where the Harris campaign went wrong. Nope, I won't read it. Harris ran a great campaign. The story should be titled, Where the American People Went Wrong. La la la, I can't hear you, la 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 la, I can't hear you, it's not me, it's you, la 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 la. The cope is unreal here. They don't even want to listen to criticism. They really think they did absolutely nothing wrong. They only see this as a Trump win and not a Democrat failure. Kamala Harris was not a flawed candidate. America is a flawed country.
I hate that. I hate that. It's just like she said, like, people will not take criticism. People will not take criticism. Like, great example, again, little bit of a smaller scale, but like, I know for me, like, I'm not perfect at this. I just barely started, like, maybe like a few months. Like, I know there's listen, I probably paused more than I probably should. There's probably a lot of things where I'm like, hey, I'd like to be able to do more research, like, on like certain topics. But like, when somebody wants to give me some like criticism, I am completely for that. But here's the thing. Some people are like, no, I'm perfect. You know, like, I'm perfect. Like, there's nothing wrong with me. And that's terrible. That is terrible. Same with like artists or like actors. Like, these are things where it's like, hey, like, take some criticism, you know? And not everyone's right. Not everyone is like perfect with this. Some people will just say things just because they don't like you. But like, there also are a lot of people who are like, hey, by the way, like, this is something that you can work on. Like, again, for me, it's the pausing. I understand I pause a ton, but like, there's just a lot of things that I'm like, hey, I like that, but you know, I could definitely let it like play out a little bit more. So forgive me. I am trying to work on things.
This incredible tweet here is from Shannon Watts, who is on the board of Emerge America, which is an organization that, quote, shows Democratic women how to run for office. Yeah, we're never getting a female president.
Joe Biden's been a phenomenal president. He's lived up to so many of the promises he's made.
I'd like to see one, but only if it's somebody that I can, like, if I can get behind, somebody that like, I'm like, hey, you know what? I like the way that you think, the way that you do things. And again, something that helps out America. Again, I want you and you and you and you and pretty much everyone that is here to be able to live a life that's easier. You know, like we're able to have enough money to be able to do more than just barely survive. We live in a time now we're just barely surviving. Like last I checked, we want to be able to live, be able to do things that go on vacation, be able to go and take our family places, be able to show our kids that it's not just working for the rest of our fucking life. Like that sucks knowing that like people just barely live just one day at a time, barely. Like for instance, like, hey, they're just barely making enough. And let's just say that like your vehicle crashes, your vehicle like shuts down. You have a fucking like tire that like went out. Some people can barely even afford that. Like that is just like the end of the world for a ton of fucking people. A lot of us, like myself and many others, like we have multiple jobs. Like I have 2 jobs. I have 2 fucking jobs. And you know what? It's not because like, okay, well, in general, I like to help out my family and stuff like that. But like, you know, it's for comfort. I want to make sure that I have enough. That I have enough just in case if there's a problem with my family, something happens, someone goes to the hospital. Like I want to make sure that like everyone is good. I got to make sure that my family is good. So it's stuff like that where like you do all that, but you're not living. You're just trying to survive. That's how I see it. You're not living. You are trying to survive.
Promise left that he could fulfill being a transitional figure. He could resign the presidency in the next 30 days, make Kamala Harris the president of the United States.
Whoa.
It would absolve her.
Wow. What the f is this Make-A-Wish president shit? Like she's a little kid who wants to play pretend. Oh, just let her for a few days. What?
I like that.
Please tell me. We're not gonna get the first female president out of pity. Well done, America. You failed them both. The people cannot let politicians down. That's not how this works. As a politician, you are not owed anyone's vote. You have to earn it, and evidently she didn't earn it. We already went through this in 2016. Donald Trump beat both female candidates. Donald iron sealing Trump. It's not our fault.
You have to be able to convince people like, hey, I'm going to be able to take a, like, you know, get rid of the issues that the common man is having. Now, again, will he do it? Maybe not. Would have each side would have fucking done it. A lot of the times I'm like, nope, probably not. But then again, that's probably because I just don't like politics. But at the same time, it's just like, you know, it's one of these things where like, if you're able to convince a certain party, like, hey, we will be able to fix the simple things, not like something that's like politically correct, not being nice and sweet. It's like, hey, if you need to be like, hey, let me get down to the nitty gritty. Like you probably have had a couple like of people, whether it's like at work or in your family, where it's like, hey, I'm going to keep it real. I'm going to keep it real. You need to do this and this. Because if not, like you're hurting your family, you're hurting friends, you're hurting like the company, you're like, whatever example. That needs to be heard. Not like this cushion, like, oh, it's okay. It's fine. Nobody likes echo chambers. Nobody likes this world that you can't be able to speak because they're like, oh, but what if I hurt their feelings? Sometimes people need their feelings hurt because they are not, they're living in a fantasy. They are living in a fantasy. And you know what? Let's get down to fucking the nitty gritty. Let's get down to fix the problems. Because if we don't fix our problems, who will? Who will? We're just going to slowly start falling down into a point where people don't want to live here in America. A lot of people don't. Because a lot of shit has gotten worse and worse. So, you know, it's stuff like that where it's like, hey, you really got to work on what the common American wants. The common American needs. Actually, not wants, needs.
The female candidates you're putting up are dog shit. Give us some good female candidates and maybe people will vote for them. At this rate, the first female president is going to be a Republican. Mark my words.
I felt the same way. It's probably going to be the same. That's what's probably going to happen. And again, if that Republican female deserves those votes and wins, good. Whatever is good for America. Like, let's not play teams. And that's the thing that makes me sad. Why play teams when really you should pick the team that cares for you and your family, not for a Democrat thing or a Republican, for you, for the normal person every fucking day. Think about your family. Think about you. Think about how you're going to be able to, people can't even afford a house nowadays, barely even fucking apartments. Think about how it's going to make you and your life better. Not because it's like, oh, this is my favorite team. Fuck that.
It's bound to happen. And if it doesn't happen, this was a joke. One of the groups that showed up overwhelmingly for Trump was Latinos. One of the major stories of the results is the significant surge in support for Trump among Latino voters. Trump nearly erased the Democratic advantage in this group.
It's sad because, and I think I brought it up earlier, but like, he pretty much made it so, at least in 2016, where he was like, hey, pretty much every Latino fucking voter, more or less, did not want to vote for him because he said some crazy stuff to make it so that people felt like, hey, they're like, hey, you know, you can't be saying that shit. Who's going to be paying for this wall? I think that's what it was exactly. It's like, who's going to be paying for the wall? They're going to be fucking paying for the wall. Pissed off every Latino out there. But you know what? What's crazy is that, like, people really did not like her so much that even the Latinos are like, you know what? I'm going to go and vote for him. After he said that, and again, if they're anything like me, we hold grudges. So that's saying something. That's saying something.
Group, narrowing the gap from 33 points to just 8. Democrats gonna build the wall 50 times higher after that one. We have to have a very, very uncomfortable conversation about Latino voters in this country. Me watching him deport the Latinos and the Arab Americans after they voted for him. And Cinco de Mayo.
Again, if you're not with them, you're against them. If you're not with them, you're against them. Which, by the way, we're trying to deport people that don't have pretty much their anybody that came into America illegally, more or less. You don't got your green card, you don't have nothing. That's the people that they're trying to send over, more or less. Not just my family or anything. Like I said, we did it legitimately. So, like, are they trying to send me over? I don't think so, anyway. I don't think so. Unless for some reason they're like, hey, by the way, ...
To all you Latinos that voted for Trump, I hope he mass deports you and your entire family. Whether you were here legally or not, you gotta go.
I know for a fact that most Latinos for Trump have undocumented family members. So if you know of a Latino who voted for Trump, I urge you to call this number and report said family members.
Donald Trump's strongest soldiers. Spiteful liberals.
A district that's 97% Latino went 75 percentage points for Donald Trump. Why?
Misogyny.
It's on the border.
It's
the border
misogyny.
crisis is on their doorstep.
So
and they were begging people to care about it.
I heard this show sucks. I've never seen it. If you're not with them, you're against them. It's very sad.
For years, we need to take some less.
That's what that was.
Another demographic for people that overwhelmingly showed up to vote against Kamala were Muslims. In a Michigan-specific poll of 502 registered Muslim voters, Stein got 59% support, followed by Trump at 22%, and Harris with a tiny 14% of the vote. The results show significant backlash to the Biden administration's handling of Israel's brutal war in Gaza, which has killed at least 43,508 Palestinians, including more than 16,765 children, as well as how the Harris campaign chose to tackle the issue. So how exactly did they tackle that issue? Why, sending that old pervert freak Bill Clinton up to Michigan to talk down to Muslims about Palestine.
That whole topic is, especially on Twitch. However, let me just say this. You can't have, again, celebrities. You can't have, like, I think if I remember correctly, they used Obama. You can't have these, like, ex-presidents and all these people where people are like, oh my God, I loved you, to try to sway the vote. If anything, that is, you guys, the viewers, the people out there, you guys are smart. You guys realize when you're being bamboozled. You guys know when someone's trying to, like, pull the rug underneath you. When someone's trying to sell you something. So with that being said, a lot of people are trying to get sold their vote because it's like, oh, remember that one president? I like them. And they're with her. So thus meaning I should vote for them. Like, I don't like that. I hate that. I mean, I don't think anyone likes that. Makes you feel like they're like, hey, come on, stupid. Like, you like this. Jingle Jangle. Actually, better yet, watch this. Like, Jingle Jangle, I know you like this. Remember him? You like him, don't you? You guys are smarter than that.
I understand why.
God damn, he's old.
Young Palestinian and Arab Americans in Michigan think too many people have died. I get that.
Damn. Just off topic. How old is he? How old is he? Remember to subscribe because Savi just lost all her ads. Thank God I still have my IRL job. It is nice to be able to chat about things. Again, I know this Twitch's rules and everything. Like, if anything, one thing I do watch out for is because I love to stream. I love talking with you guys. It's so nice. I think you can pretty much talk about just about anything as long as you have, we have the, the political streamers, like, for the most part, that will just go extreme on one end or like the other. But if you have a very sane mind where it's like, hey, I can see why people are like this or like this, and be able to understand things, I think usually things are fine, usually. But yeah, how old is he? How old is he? In his 80s. Oh wait, no. 78? 78, huh? How long will I live? I have no idea. I'm 31 and I already feel old as shit. Anyway, off topic.
Muslims really said, we hate you more than the guy that talked about a Muslim ban. Just a side note, look at this fucking guy. It's like he hasn't had his daily dose of adrenochrome in a week. Someone get this man a fresh child stat. Muslims,
also, Latinos, thank you so much for the 8 months. I really appreciate that.
Ah yes, women. Yes, Trump improved with young men, but he drew in young women too.
Wow, look at that. 52% of all women who look like me are f***ing stupid.
You said it, not me.
Despite making abortion the #1 issue in her
campaign,
said
it, not me.
Despite Brat Summer, despite the White Women for Harris Zoom call.
You want to know why I feel like a lot of women went down to the Republican side of things? Is because of stuff like that. We don't want to be associated with that. We don't want to be around people that are so extreme that they feel like, well, again, both political sides can be extreme. But again, we talked about like how the US is nowadays. Very PC, very like, hey, if you're not with me, you're against me. A lot of people don't like that. They don't like that. It's just, we want to change. We want something different. We don't want to have it where America feels so squishy, where we feel it's like, hey, we're doing the same thing over and over again. Crazy people. Again, not saying that you don't have crazy people on like the Republican side of things, but right now I feel like Democrats have it where they show off a lot of crazy. Republicans do too, but at the same time though, it's like they talk about the blue-haired girls. That is definitely a thing. And again, you're seeing the like tweets and stuff like, if you're not with me, you're against me. And it's to the extreme where people are like, you know what, I hope you die. And I'm just like, yikes. It's like, we can't even have a conversation without someone being like, hey, I hope you jump off a bridge or something. And I'm like, really?
And most of all, despite the Taylor
it's sad,
Swift
isn't it?
endorsement,
it's sad.
Harris only managed to get +8 with women.
Don't
Despite
you like
it
to
all,
run and
many
get nowhere?
women came out to support Trump, especially Gen
I
Z
really,
women.
I
In
like
2020,
you. I like
30% of young women voted for Trump. In 2024, 40% of young women voted for Trump. In fact, so many women voted for him that women on TikTok started wearing blue bracelets to signal to other women that they were one of the good ones who didn't vote for Trump.
That's what I'm talking about. People can't even talk about it. They couldn't even talk about it. Couldn't even talk about it with their friends or anything, because if you were, you're the enemy. Why do we have to be the enemy? That's what we were talking about with the whole like relationships and like friendships. Like, you know how many, and this is probably how it is in all like elections. It's like, if you don't believe in me, we can't work together. We can't be a part of a relationship. We can't be friends. And I'm like, yikes. I don't know. It's sad. It's sad. Like, I hate it. I hate it. Like, they have to be secretive. They have to be secretive. Everyone has to, or else. And that's the thing. It's like, nobody wants that no more. Nobody wants that no more.
50s, I'm buying as many blue beads and blue hearts as I can, and I'm gonna make bracelets, so we know who we can trust.
Yeah. Anyway, some young women in response to Trump's victory are starting to get into the 4B movement. A movement started in South Korea. Basically, MGTOW for women. Women giving up on dating men, having sex with men, having babies, marriage, whatever.
We are taking coochie off the table indefinitely.
Cancel all future plans with men. 4B is where it's at. Use their own stupid traditional views against them. Say that you don't want sex before marriage.
This is the shit this is why a lot of guys are like, yeah, I'm done. And for a lot of the guys that are like, yeah, men fucking suck, fuck us. I'm like, listen, those bitches are not giving you any pussy. And if you do want their pussy, I bet you $10 it fucking smells like fish. You don't want them bitches. Promise. Also, Blackroom, thank you so much for the 7 months, as well as the tier 3. Jesus.
outrage. Say
Thank
that you
you.
are waiting
Thank
for
you.
the right man.
Yeah, that shit
they
probably
will be
stinks.
seething because they are sexually dependent on women who they call sluts. See, this is the best angle. No sex before marriage. Give them what they voted for. So conservatives won the election and women are threatening to not sleep around. It kind of seems like the conservatives won a little more than just the election. I might do a whole video on the four.
Oh my God. Those kind of men are the women that... Those are the men that want to get pegged. Hey, listen, you like what you like. You like what you like. But at the same time, though, don't... This is why I feel bad for guys, too. Is that, like, you can't have a Democratic vote and at the same time be like, hey, these women are like, fuck you. But at the same time, vote for us. It's like, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. How does that make sense? How does that make sense? How does that make sense? Also, Random Rabbit, thank you for the prime, by the way. Thank you. You guys are too sweet.
Or B movement. Tell me if you're interested in that. I don't know. Anyway, young men did come out and support Trump, and apparently for the reasons I and many others predicted. We asked young men why they voted for Donald Trump. Here's what they said. Nick Sumners, a 21-year-old cosmetic car repairman from Virginia, says he is pro-choice, but when he voted in the 2024 presidential election, he did so for Donald Trump. Despite his
hold on. Okay, hold on.
Say that you are waiting for the right man. They will be seething because they are sexually dependent on women who they call sluts. See, this is the best angle. No sex before marriage. Or B movement. Tell me if you're interested in that. I don't know. Anyway,
was that the
young
internet?
men did come out and support Trump, and apparently for the reasons I and many others predicted. We asked young men why they voted for Donald Trump. Here's what they said. Nick Sumners, a 21-year-old cosmetic car repairman from Virginia, says he is pro-choice, but when he voted in the 2024 presidential election, he did so for Donald Trump. Despite his personal beliefs, he says that Trump talks about the American people in a way that resonates with him, without, in his opinion, faulting him for his gender and sexual orientation. I'm a straight white man, and I feel like we take the blame for a lot of things. Of course there are bad guys,
Hopefully things are fine. If not, I can fix them later.
Just because he voted for Trump. But what appealed to him about Donald Trump was that his campaign was not coming after us.
Oh, thank you, Chad.
He was highlighting
Thank you.
the American people, which we are. It doesn't matter what color you are, what you may identify as. Since I wasn't excluded, I resonated with it. When you tell a young white guy, hey, you're an oppressor, and because you're white, you have privileges that your black and Hispanic peers didn't have, and you're inherently at fault.
That sucks so bad. We talked about the whole, like, hey, guys are getting fucking shit on. And a lot of white guys are getting really shit on. But, like, it's one of those things where, like, here's the thing. Y'all are not wrong. There's nothing that you guys did, like bad. There is nothing like that. And yet there are a lot of people that are like, it's your fault because of this and this and this. How the fuck is it their fault? Like, there's a lot of people that get out of high school, out of college, and you're like, well, I guess you hate us. Like, that sucks. That's not fair. You know, if you want to, like, I mean, let's be real. If somebody did something wrong, like in the sense of like act crazy, do stupid shit, like, yeah, like you can, that's when you can actually be like, yeah, but this specific person, not an actual group, stuff like that makes no sense to me. Again, that is stupid mind. That is loca en la cabeza. Just stupid, makes no sense. And again, you can't be punished for shit that happened back in the day. And even then, that's not you. Hell, it's probably not even your grandparents. Like, you know, it's just, this is what people do nowadays because people don't want to take responsibility for nothing. Or they want to blame somebody for something. That's not fair. It's not fair to you or no one else.
Or you're guilty for that, which is what a lot of the left wings or Democrats are saying. We're not racist, we're not misogynistic, we're just normal people. And we are friends with everyone.
That's
we're
racist.
tired of hearing a lot of this BS from a lot on the far left.
You can be racist. White people can be racist to white people. Hispanics can be racist to Hispanics. Stuff like that, when you knock people down like that because they are white, that is racist. That is stuff that, like, again, nobody wants to see racism. Like, nobody wants to see it. I get it. But at the same time, though, when you push that topic out every fucking day, that is where people are like, you know what? I'm tired of this shit. I'm tired of you saying I can't say something or I can't do something because of this. For something that you never did. That is unfair and it's some bullshit. And it is some bullshit.
I feel like there's this cultural frustration that young men have that they're not allowed to be young men. I hope the male loneliness epidemic eats you MAGA scum alive. I hope you feel a hole in your soul and feel unloved until your dying day. I hope you rot in your deathbed, wondering why women looked at you like you had rabies your whole life as your eyes closed for the last time. Unfortunately,
If you're not with us, you're against us. Tribalism to the extreme.
the all men suck branding just isn't good for getting men to ally with you. Oh no, it can't be.
Thorgor,
Is
thank
that
you so
the
much, by the way. Thank
consequences
you
of
for
my
the 3
own
months.
actions? Yes, the reasonable and rational men know you aren't talking about them, but maybe it's time to realize that most men aren't reasonable and rational. How do you speak to young men when they're literally Nazis?
You wouldn't get no pussy. I keep saying that. Fucking fish pussy.
Why are Gen Z males the f***ing Hitler youth? How do we get young men to get on board with the young men eat shit and die movement? Hear me out. Maybe not calling them
eat shit and
Hitler
die
youth.
movement.
After the election, a YouTuber I am subscribed to uploaded a video called How the Right is Winning Young Men. And I was excited to see his take. But then it comes time to talk about men's issues, and this is how he did it.
But this is the part where I want to enter the male loneliness epidemic. I know. We're all tired of hearing.
The entire idea of the male loneliness epidemic is it's this idea that really centers men and men's feelings. The premise is of quite a flawed premise to begin with.
Can I just say this? Last video, because again, I do read you guys' comments. The amount of people that said, hey, I will never ever try to speak about my feelings. I will never ever try to be able to try to open up to somebody again because A, they get like people just like get belittled, or B, it's not a problem. You should like suck it up because you're a man. Like that shit pisses me off because we all have issues. We all have problems. We can't talk about our shit. You guys can't talk about your shit. You can't do nothing about it. And people are going to look down on you if you do. And to me, that shit's bullshit. So it's lonely. You don't want to date nobody because you're going to get fucking like talk shit to. You're going to feel like dog shit. Like the amount of people that I've seen where it's usually what? The Gen Z? I think that's the 18. Sorry, I don't know the whole thing. I just know I'm millennial. They have given up before they even started life. They'll be like in high school and they'll be like, well, life's done. That's it. Like that sucks. Like, don't get me wrong, life does blow sometimes, but there is also some good in there. What do they say? There is light at the end of the tunnel. So you have to be able to see that. They have to be able to be like, hey, like, there is some hope out there. But it sucks whenever people are automatically like, hey, that's it. That's it. My life sucks. Waiting to die or something. And I'm just like, that is a terrible way to live. And I hate that. So it's just, there's a lot that goes into that. So when people belittle that, I'm like, y'all are wrong. Y'all are wrong. Us as women can talk about our fucking feelings, but not you. You know?
I agree. I also...
People think it's like, oh, you're lonely, suck it up.
This. I do.
As someone that's going to become a fucking therapist, that is not what I would tell anybody. You're allowed to talk about these things, but people are so dead set, like, oh, I can't do this. It's sad. It really is. I sold my feelings to pay rent. You're so silly.
Though it is on the left to like give grace to the male loneliness epidemic, I have mixed feelings about it. I'm picking my words carefully so the leftists don't murder me. Like, don't rake me over the coals for this. But I think that I understand as much as I can understand a heterosexual man.
One thing that I can say, again, I don't like politics. I don't, even though we're going over something kind of like this. Who gives a fuck what some other group is going to say? If you believe in something, say it, you know, say it. Like, don't be a bitch. Don't be a bitch. Don't be a fucking bitch. Don't be a bitch. And don't be a bitch.
Yeah, I think we found the answer to the video title. I have to pick my words carefully so my own movement doesn't attack me for caring about men's issues. You see the issue?
Because they can't say it. They're like, oh, I can't do this because I have to, like... Nobody ever likes to walk on glass. I'm sure many people have been in a relationship where someone is very... I mean, at least in mine. Maybe I just like red flags, apparently. Where, like, we have to walk on glass because someone's going to fucking trip out. Like, nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. You know? You literally have to say what you want, say it with your chest. That's kind of what I like grew up with. That's what I grew up with. Say it with your fucking chest.
If you can't talk about this without having to walk on eggshells in fear of your own allies ripping your head off, maybe that is part of the reason men are moving right. Also, I feel like this is really important to say. I don't think all these men are moving right. I think just a lot of them hate the Democratic Party and feel alienated from the left. So what was the overwhelming takeaway from the Democrats and the left? To actually start listening to men? No, of course not. Instead, their solution once again seems to be... we need a liberal Joe Rogan. We need a liberal Joe Rogan, ASAP. We need a left-wing Rogan. Democrats are gonna keep losing until they have their own Joe Rogan, their own Elon Musk, until they create their own alternative to Fox News.
Or you can always have, you know, maybe thoughts, beliefs, opinions about things that are going to help people in the United States. Your brothers, your sisters. Could be like that. I don't know. Maybe actual beliefs that are going to be able to help us, help your family. I don't know.
People saying Harris should have done Joe Rogan are missing the point. That wouldn't have helped her. Liberals need to build their own Joe Rogan. Oh my god, we need a liberal Joe Rogan. You had a liberal Joe Rogan. His name was Joe Rogan. But he was too edgy, too problematic, said too many no-no words, talked to too many no-no people about no-no topics. And in 2020, when Bernie Sanders went on his podcast and Joe endorsed him, the Democrat journalist class freaked the out and smeared him for weeks. The left can't have a Joe Rogan.
Because they always have to watch their words. Nobody wants to do that no more. To be honest with you, whoever wanted to do that? Whoever wanted to do that? Nobody ever wants to fucking watch their words. Like, you know, that's why there's been a big uproar of like, hey, you can't tell me what to fucking do. You know, we're kind of slowly going back over to how we were back in the day. Again, PC culture, kind of dying. PG culture, kind of dying, not gonna lie. We want to say and do what we want as Americans. We talk about the whole freedom of speech thing. How can we have that? How can we have that? You know, how can we have that? Whenever we're just like, watch your words, watch your words. Nobody wants to watch their words. Last I checked, I'm 31. You're not going to tell me what to do. What do you mean, Mom? And even if you were, like, still going to say what I want.
Because everything that makes Joe Rogan, is not allowed on the left. Kamala Harris ditched Joe Rogan podcast interview over progressive backlash fears. So Joe Rogan was too problematic, but Liz Cheney was fine? Listen, you don't need a leftist Joe Rogan or liberal Joe Rogan. You just need leftists and liberals to go on Joe Rogan. And that means not giving a shit about being canceled by your own movement.
By the way, I think Kamala Harris didn't want to do that. What is it? To what? What was it for? Wanted to watch her P's and Q's. I think that's what it was. I want to say that's what it was. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think you need to go on someone's podcast to like actually be able to like speak your piece, you know, to be able to go over your like political issues. But at the same time, though, there was a lot of talk of why she didn't want to do things. So again, do I think you need to? No. But at the same time, though, people will watch your actions. They'll be like, hey, why won't you do this? Why won't you do that? It makes it so it's like, it makes you feel like you're fake. Makes it feel like you're fake. You're like, hey, I don't think I want you here in office, or just in general, people want somebody that's real. You know, people want to be able to listen to somebody, be like, okay, I understand that. I get that. So whenever you're like, I don't want to do that. It makes people think like, hey, why not? Why not? You know, people do ask a lot of questions. Why not?
Look, you can have an argument with Rogan, agree with him, disagree with him, but what's the problem going on those shows?
That's
I got vilified by some of the Democratic establishment because I went on Rogan's show. Now a lot of other people are doing just that.
Anyways, liberals should start doing podcasts and TikTok.
That's what it was. Harrison could not do a non-scripted, non-edited interview, which makes it feel like as if like, hey, this is all scripted. This is not real. People want real. People want someone that has a backbone. So that's kind of how I feel about the matter.
Talks and whatever aimed at setting the youth straight. Yes, there's nothing the youth enjoy more than being set straight.
We don't have the equivalent of Joe Rogan and Jordan Peterson to move that man.
They really wanted Joe Rogan.
By the way,
it's not that serious. Maybe I'm wrong. I have no idea. I've watched his show before. It's not bad. Not bad.
We should educate men that it's actually really great to live with a strong woman who makes money. It's actually easier. Life is easier.
We're going to be under
that.
Republican
They
rule for the
want a
next
Joe
100
Rogan, but
years,
they
aren't
can't
we?
handle it.
Trump's win leaves Democrats asking, where are our bro whisperers? We have to make entertaining, engaging content that men want to watch and care about. Then, over time, you pepper in more progressive views.
No, they just don't want to be belittled every 2 seconds. Again, like, I could be like, hey guys, I want you to get this. By the way, you're a piece of shit. Now, I joke about things, but I mean, you clearly know that I don't mean it. You clearly know that I'm not, like, actually hate you guys. It's like, hey, buy my fucking product, however, you're a piece of shit. Like, people don't get that from this stream. And if you do, you need to fucking get a therapist. Go outside. But yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, you can't make people believe or get on your train, get on what you believe in, if you fucking make them feel like dog shit. Nobody wants to be a part of that team. Nobody wants that. You want to know what that reminds you of? Getting bullied inside high school. You're like, hey, I want to do sports. Well, then you have this fucking bully that's like, hey, you're a piece of dog shit. Fuck you. Now, some people are like, I'm mistaken here anyway, but some people just don't come back. They just do not come back.
So you want to start a normal podcast and then start sprinkling in propaganda? Should you even be saying this out loud? Dems need to seriously put all their money into creating propaganda network to compete with the right's massive amount of propaganda.
You want to know what it reminds you of? It reminds you of, like, again, disconnected video game like companies. The reason why I say that is because it's like, hey, something that is so simple to understand. We want this. But though, like, what I think they mean is they want this. Kind of like the equivalent of, like, hey, do you guys remember the what is it, the Halo show, the one with, like, Master Chief and stuff like that? Like, they could have done a very basic, like, hey, just follow the basic story from what, like, the writer did. It would have been so good. And yet they wanted to change it because they're like, hey, I think that the audience wants this. It's like, no, it's very simple. We want this. Stop trying to give us random bullshit. Stop trying to preach a message. We just want to see something cool. We want to see something that makes sense. And that's the only example I have for you. But yes, something where, like, people try to sway it one way or the other. They just don't see it. I'm like, how do you not see it? How do you not see it? Are you blind?
Democrats need their own propaganda machine, and I'm not even joking a little bit. First of all, again,
I don't
think we need better propaganda is something you should be saying.
They do see it, but they want their view in there. They're like, hey, I want this, but at the same time, though, let's add a little bit more. Just like she said, just a little bit of seasoning. And sometimes they don't work together. That's like putting mayonnaise on fucking pizza, or maybe not mayonnaise, but like ranch, which I know some of you little nasty asses fucking do that. Disgusting. Doesn't work. Gross.
Saying out loud. Second of all, Democrats already have that, and have had it for decades.
Some people like that.
It's called every celebrity, every institution, every piece of media, from movies to video games. Every celebrity from Beyonce to Taylor Swift endorsed her. She had Cardi B at all her rallies.
Did you see the whole thing with Beyonce and Jay-Z and Jay-Z? Oh my god, that's another topic in itself. Sorry.
She got the fucking Avengers together.
Hi, you guys. Hi, Avengers.
Hey, Scarlett. Wow, Trump is literally Thanos. By the way, with all these, like, journalists and people talking about how we need a liberal Andrew Tate, a liberal Joe Rogan.
And that's the thing, is that they tried so hard to bring every celebrity, any ex-presidents, things that people, people that they liked. People, like how people liked them in, like, the past. It's like that still didn't even work. Because that, I'm getting pandered to. Nobody wants to get pandered to. Nobody wants to be like, hey, because we have this, again, jingle jangle, we have this here, so you must like this, right? It's like, no, the topics, literally the issues. That's what we want.
Yeah, be prepared to see some of the most forced, overproduced, astroturfed streamers and YouTubers to pop up overnight and subtly or not so subtly start shilling for the Democratic Party. You're gonna start seeing funded DNC plants all over YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, because they really do think the answer to all of this is more podcasts. All the funding in the world won't
just
buy
makes
you
no
an
sense.
audience.
Blind.
You could have $1 million set and the best sound and video equipment ever, but it will not buy you a large and dedicated audience. I've been using a Mac laptop webcam and a shitty snowball mic for over 10 years, and you idiots keep coming back for some reason.
I was wondering why she still uses that. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. I like you. Hey, listen, when we talk about being able to do all this, whether it's VTubing, streaming, you don't need all the fancy stuff. You do not need the fancy bullshit. Trust me. You don't need that shit.
And listen, it's 2024. Y'all have a camera and a microphone. Be the liberal Joe Rogan you want to see in the world. But the thing is, if people can hear your opinions when they turn on the TV, they're not going to watch your shit. People tune into alt media to hear alt opinions.
Exactly.
Even the most popular leftist streamers, like Hassan, for example, spend a lot of time criticizing the Democratic Party. So it's gonna be hard to build some kind of like Democrat shill Joe Rogan. But
we talked about the whole thing with like, hey, someone's gonna come into an argument and they already know. They're not changing their mind. It is rare when you see somebody listening into something that they probably have never heard before, and or something where like, I kind of already feel this way, and then they may get swayed. That's rare as shit. Like I said, when people are like, hey, I believe in this, they're sticking with it. It doesn't matter what you fucking say. It doesn't matter what the fuck you fucking say. They're going to literally they're going to stay there. They're going to stay there, you know? Just, I don't know. It's just like, that's how people work. Very one note. I hate that shit. I do. Again, I talk about this a lot, but we are supposed to be the most complicated. We are complicated. The most complex beings in the world, and yet we just can only make one decision. We're like a light switch, except we are only in light. Okay, apparently I can't speak today. We are only on or off. That is it. That makes no sense. Like, we are better than that. We are better as that, and we should be. Shut up, Purple. You know I can't speak.
But I can't wait to see you try. After the election, one of the only politicians I've seen who is actively trying to understand why people voted the way that
only
they
black
did
or white. I like that better.
Is AOC. When I met her, I whispered into her ear, "Take the pronouns out of your bio," and she did.
Thank you. I don't like seeing that. Do what you want, but at the same time, I think Asmund said it, and I love Asmund's takes on like things. He's like, I can't take you seriously. Like, he knows that like anybody that tries to talk shit to him, or somebody that's going to try to cause problems or issues, he'll go off to their like Twitter, and if they have those pronouns, he's like, yep, I thought so. Do what you want. I could care less. But at the same time,
my influence. Anyway, after the election, AOC found out that a ton of people voted for her down ballot, but also voted for Trump.
The pronoun stuff.
For
no,
president.
see, Wolf, here's the thing. If that's how you want to be seen and everything else, like, again, I'm older. I don't know exactly where that came from. Go for it. I could care less. Listen, you live your life the way you want. The issue is, a lot of the times, is that like people that want to see themselves as, you know, they, thems, or like, I don't know all the rest of the pronouns. Forgive me. It's usually like, it's like, hey, if I'm going to live like this, and if you don't believe in what I believe in, you're the enemy. And I don't like that. It's like, hey, you can live by what non-binary, they, thems, like all that stuff. Do it. But at the same time though, if people don't want to get behind you on this, you leave them alone. There's a lot of stuff that like my papa doesn't like, and I'm like, okay, well, I like this. He didn't really agree with me when I, married my ex-wife. Even though we are divorced now, a lot of the times, like, he was like, well, I told you. And I'm like, well, you don't know. It's not always like that. So, but at the same time, I'm not imposing on him, saying like, hey, you have to do this. You have to believe in this. I knew he just didn't like it, and that's cool. That's fine. But like, again, he's older generation. Let him do what he wants. I could care less.
On the same ticket. Curious, she took to her Instagram to ask people why they did that. And these were some of their answers. I feel like Trump and you are both real. It's real simple. Trump and you care for the working class. But also you signified change. Trump signified change.
I like the first part of that. They said, you feel real. That's what I was saying earlier. You feel real. People want to feel like they're being cared about. Again, are they? Who knows? Would they have felt the same way on the other side? Who knows? But people want to feel like there's someone in charge that's going to change things. Again, I'm like, are they? I mean, I can't see in the future. But what I can say is that that's what a lot of people want. And if you're coming off like that as someone that's going to be like, hey, I got you, they're going to stand behind that. People want to see someone strong, somebody that's going to take charge. because a lot of the times nowadays, again, no backbone.
Trump sounds more like you. Loved ones say you're both straightforward and challenging corruption and broken government. Because it's different than what has been the last 4 years. Something had to go. I feel that you both are
JP,
outsiders compared to the rest of DC and less establishment. Voted Trump, but I like you and Bernie. I don't trust either party establishment politicians. The replies, of course, were full of people like, these idiots, these morons, these fools. Most depressing shit I've ever seen. These people sound dumb as hell. Such staggering ignorance and stupidity. The median voter. I hate the median voter. I want to destroy the median voter. Why is the median voter this stupid? I hate the median voter. How could this be real? Americans really are the dumbest gentlemen on earth. This is giving me a headache. I don't understand the median voter.
It's because all you think about is one thing. You know, whether it is, and we were talking about this earlier, whether it's race, whether it's gender stuff, whether it's, whatever you're believing at whatever you're trying to fight at the time, whatever that specific topic is. And somebody brought it up earlier, like a lot of people, they're like, hey, like I am this. Like, again, we talked about like the gender stuff earlier. Some people, that's their personality. That's all they know. If you do not agree with them, then they're going to be like, fuck you and fuck everything that you believe in. And that's my thing, is that we got to have more than just one thing that we're fighting on. Which again, whether it's the pronoun stuff, whether it is race stuff, it's things where it's like, it's one-sided. It's one-sided. And I don't like that. It's like, come on now. Again, we're supposed to be the most complex creatures on this earth, and we can't even have that conversation. It's sad. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about things without getting emotional. Let's talk about facts. Again, the moment, if I'm trying to have like an argument, a conversation with somebody, the moment that their feelings are brought in, then I completely tune them out. I have tuned them out because I care about facts, opinions of facts. You tell me how you feel. The moment that you're starting to throw words, anger, a lot of times it's anger and like cuss words, then I don't care. I have tuned the fuck out because now you're not being logical. You are not being logical, and I'm completely done with it. We can have a logical conversation, but once you start getting snappy and angry, I could care less. Not saying you can't be very strong about something, but like if we're trying to have like an educational debate, an educational conversation, it needs to be educational. It needs to actually be off of facts.
Listen, it's really
I don't think
not
that's
that
a
hard
hot
to
take,
understand.
is it? Like, I don't think so.
It's
Just
populism,
that's it.
honey. It's why when I went to January 6th and told a bunch of boomers I was a Bernie supporter, a ton of them reacted like this.
I think he's one of the few honest people yeah, I think he's honest. He beat Hillary Clinton, and he would have beat Joe Biden, too.
People hate empty suits that sound like they're constantly reading from a script. They
Exactly.
want someone who tells it like it is.
That's what I've been saying
Someone who
earlier.
fights for the everyman, or at least sounds like they do.
Hey, Haynes, thank you so much for the 37 months, by the way. Thank you.
Trump too.
I voted for him.
Oh, you like AOC?
Backbone.
Did you vote for her?
Yeah. Remember one thing about why people voted for Trump. They want change.
The average...
Exactly. They want something different. They want something that doesn't sound like they're on a script. They, again, we were talking about the Joe Rogan thing. Again, do you really have to actually like go on a podcast and yada, yada, yada? No. But at the same time, though, people look at that when you don't. They're like, you just don't want to talk. You don't want to be able to like, your 2 cents. Chat was saying it earlier, but they're like, hey, I feel like she was going to be on a script. If she feels like, if the community, if the United States, the people that are watching you feel like you are not real, don't have a backbone, don't have an actual stance on things that doesn't have a piece of paper like right in front of you, just reading off this stuff over and over again. We don't want that. We don't want that no more. I feel like the United States have felt like that for years. So it's time to be able to see something different. That's what a lot of people want. Whether your opinion is, oh, that's not going to happen, or it is, nobody wants to have somebody that's like reading off of like a teleprompter, a script, someone that's like, hey, if you say this is going to win you so-and-so. It's like, nobody wants that. We want somebody that is actually going to do something. Even if they do or don't, that is something that feels good. It feels like we are being cared about. We are being cared about. We are seen first as Americans, because I feel like we care about every other place around the world, but not us. We have so many people here that are starving, struggling. Again, we talk about the economy. It's stuff where it's like, hey, by the way, remember, we are here first. These are our people. Let's care about our people first, please and thank you.
The average American voter despises the establishment and will vote for anyone who promises to destroy it. And the fact that none of you understand this is a big reason why you lost and will continue to lose until
they're
you
blind
do
to it.
understand it. Capiche? The beatings will continue until the populism improves. How could people have voted for this felon? How could they vote for Trump, especially after January 6th, where he led a bunch of his supporters to destroy that beautiful, shining beacon of hope? Well, first of all, you have to understand that that's not a shining beacon of hope to most people. That is a dirty, disgusting brothel that sold out the future of their children and will probably send them into the next world war.
And you want to know something else? Again, especially with current topics that are going on now, like we talk about the American Health, what is it, the CEO that got shot. People are saying it's because nothing get changed via like speeches. They feel like they have to do things in action. Now, am I somebody that like condones violence? No. But at the same time, like I said, I was in the military for 12 years and I've been to war. I've been to places where I'm like, hey, sometimes you got to put your foot down. I'm not saying like, I'm like, hey, we got to do this thing, but people get tired of this shit. They're like, hey, this is my only way. This is my only way that I can change things. Now, of course, with that whole situation, there's a lot more that goes into that. But the point I'm trying to make is like, hey, a lot of people feel like if you're not going to listen to me, I will take action into my own hands. So it's, we're at that point now. We're at that point now, chat, where it's like, hey, people want to see a change and they damn well know that it's not just going to happen by talking.
After all the indictments, the mugshots, the committees, the documentaries, people clearly don't care about January 6th. And that might scare some people, but the truth is a politician that promises safety and affordable food can do 100 January 6s. It's kind of like FDR said. Democracy has disappeared in several other great nations, not because the people of those nations dislike democracy, but because they had grown tired of unemployment and insecurity, of seeing their children hungry while they sat helpless in the face of government confusion and government weakness through lack of leadership. Finally, in desperation, they chose to sacrifice liberty in hope of getting something to eat. Speaking of FDR...
Exactly, and that's what we were saying earlier. I mean, I can't say it enough. I feel like I'm sounding like a broken record. But at the same time, like, people are struggling. In this economy right now, it's hard to even get groceries. It's like, again, I think of like my nana. I think of like my grandmama, my like grandpa, my own family. My mom is very, very, very like, she just makes sure, I mean, like, she's the biggest cheapskate, but because she doesn't want anything to happen, she wants to make sure that she has enough for an emergency, for groceries, for bills. And like I said, like she was a chief master sergeant. She was an E9, so like, so you know, you get paid decently well there. So just saying. And even then, she's like, I gotta be careful. I have to be careful because right now, a lot of people are fucking struggling. Like I said, again, I have 2 jobs. I have something just to make sure that I have enough for my family, or enough for like if like, you know, something happens to my family, or like if there's an emergency, like I have enough just in case. But at the same time, if I wasn't doing all of that, where would I be? Where would I be struggling?
A little bit about the guy that FDR stole a bunch of his ideas from, shall we? Someone who the modern Democratic Party should probably try and learn from. That's right, I finally found an excuse to talk about my favorite politician. The man, the myth, the legend, the kingfish himself, Huey Long. Huey Long was the 40th governor of Louisiana from 1928 to 1932. He was a populist member of the Democratic Party and rose to national prominence during the Great Depression. He took on big oil and Wall Street and drastically helped lift
I'm not a political
Louisiana
person, but I do feel
Long
like,
had
I will say one thing. You don't have to be a political person to understand basic human needs and where a lot of this can kind of benefit you, family, and everyone else inside of your life. So yeah, but like I said, I mean, there's people I have no idea about, so I'm learning.
Supporters and haters, and to this day is celebrated as a populist champion of the people, and at the same
Also,
time,
I like her outfit.
denounced as a fascist demagogue. To give you a better idea of who Huey was, here are some quotes from the man himself. Corrupted by wealth and power, your government is like a restaurant with only one dish. They've got a set of Republican waiters on one side and
do
a set
like
of
the song.
Democratic waiters on the other. But
Sorry,
no matter which set
sorry.
of waiters brings you the dish, the legislative grub is all prepared in the same Wall Street kitchen. The only difference I ever found between the Democratic leadership and the Republican leadership is that one of them is skinning you from the ankle up, and the other from the ear down. But Huey Long wasn't some enlightened centrist, no.
And I like that. I like that. Like, that kind of pretty much hits like the mark right there. One side's going to be like, oh, well, you shouldn't do this and this, and they're going to be fucking screwing you here. But at the same time, the other side's going to also be doing. That's why I'm not a political person. I feel like you're still losing. You got to worry about yourself, your family, and if that means somewhere in the middle, awesome. Or somewhere left, right, or somewhere like, you know, somewhere like on the side, 60%, 40%, whatever it is. As long as it's hitting your needs. Simple. Don't pick one thing. Look at everything. Think of the big picture. The big picture.
No, the man firmly had a side, and that side was the people. I'm for the poor man.
For
All
the
poor
people.
men, black and white. They all gotta have a chance. They gotta have a home, a job, a decent education for their children. Every man a king. That's my slogan. When asked if
I
he
love
cared
that.
about
That's
the
good.
bad press he got, Huey replied, "All I care about is what the boys at the forks of the creek think of me."
And that's all you need. That is all you need. Your brothers, your sisters, people that you care about. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. Like, why has it got to be more complicated than just that? It doesn't. Simple. Simplicity. How I kind of see this quote is like this. Again, I was active duty for a while. I was deployed inside the desert, inside South Korea. I mean, like, you name it. I've been around the block. So with that being said, like, your unit, the people that you are with, those are, that's your family. That is your family that you look out for, that you care for. That, like, if something happens, you will do anything for them. So this is like the equivalent of that. These should be your people. These are your people. We all live in the same place, in the same country. We want to see us prosper. And if you can't see that, open your eyes.
And when Big Oil threatened to leave Louisiana, he said, "If they gotta leave, they can go to hell and stay there." They don't make politicians like this
E6.
anymore. Politicians used to be like mob bosses. Now they go on Call Her Daddy podcasts. Sad. Huey had many
Whose podcast is that? I have never heard that before. Whose fucking podcast is that?
powerful enemies.
Whose
And because of this,
podcast
he was
is that?
assassinated in 1935.
I've heard the Hawktua one,
His last
which I heard
words
that
were
she scammed
allegedly,
some people.
"God, don't let me die. I have so much to do." There's a lot of talk online right now about how we need a Joe Rogan for the left and Andrew Tate for the left, but there's also talk about how we need a Donald Trump for the left, and well, Huey Long was exactly that. And to be completely honest, I don't think you people could handle a Donald Trump for the left.
Somebody inside chat said that earlier. They want all this, but they can't handle it. Because once somebody starts speaking up, maybe not saying the P's and Q's and the PC stuff, they're going to be like, like, stop it. Didn't they say that Joe Rogan was actually like a leftist and then went over to the right because they couldn't handle it? Again, I could be wrong with that. I thought that's what I heard. It's just like they can't handle it. They can't handle it. No puppets. No puppets. You need real people. You need real people. No more puppets. Nobody wants that.
You couldn't even handle Bernie Sanders. You called him a sexist and a racist and did everything in your power to crush him and keep him down. But
To say
unlike Bernie,
E6, I meant
Huey Long
E5. I
wouldn't
am
just
so
lay
sorry.
down and take it.
Sorry,
Huey
I was reading
Long
chat.
would scare the shit out of the modern Democratic Party. But if there's anyone they need to take a lesson from, it's him. All right, time to get out of this costume. I feel like an
Your
old
costume.
hooer. It should come
You
as
say
no great
hooer.
surprise that the Democratic
Apparently, chat calls me a hag. So, hey, you know what? You're a hag just like me, girl. And you look great. God, she looks good.
Party, which has abandoned working class people, would find that the working class had abandoned them, Bernie Sanders said in a statement about the results of Tuesday's election. While the Democratic leadership defends the status quo, the American people are angry and want change, and they're right. Will the big money interest and well-paid consultants who control the Democratic Party learn any real lessons from this disastrous campaign? Will they understand the pain and political alienation that tens of millions of Americans are experiencing?
No.
Do they have any ideas as to how we can take on the increasingly powerful oligarchy, which has so much economic power? Probably not. All the groups that...
Nope. They only care about one thing. And it's that current topic at hand. Whether, again, we talked about it earlier, but like, we need to think outside the box. They need to think outside the box. Everyone does, honestly. You know? Everybody does. Like I said, again, this is a team effort. Again, everyone's against each other, but we all are on the same team. You know, we're all on the same team because we all live together. We all live together. When did we separate that? We are all on the same team.
Sanders originally courted, young people, Latinos, the working class, are gone. And I don't know if they're coming back. Maybe this is a one-time thing, maybe it's just because of Trump or inflation, or maybe the meme is coming true. Maybe Republicans are the new party of the working class. Democrats' working class exodus sets off reckoning within party. Democrats, who have long prided themselves as the party for the little guy, instead strengthened their emerging base of financially secure college graduates this election, while a growing number of blue-collar voters embraced Trump and Republicans. Especially alarming for Democrats this election, the exodus of working-class voters from the Democratic Party included not just white voters, but helped Trump make gains with Latino and black men. This
so blows my mind. See, it's stuff like that where, again, you said a lot of things in 2016 where, like, people are like, whoa, especially for Latinos and blacks and everyone else. But yet now it's like, hey, don't care. I'm still voting. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? And that shows you how much people want to change. People want a change, even if the person that, said some stuff and then, like, they're like, what the fuck is this? They're like, hey, I'm with you still. Like, and I'm sure not everyone was, but like a good fucking portion were. It's like, it's crazy to me.
This realignment crystallized a political reality that is tough for Democrats to swallow. With blue-collar voters flocking away from their party over multiple election cycles, Democrats' refashioned base is becoming more upper-class, urban, suburban, and coastal. It's a narrowed coalition that does not bode well for future elections. To put things into perspective, the Trump coalition is closer to the Obama coalition than the Harris one is. That is crazy. That is wild. That is what we call a potential party switch. And I don't really care about how many leftists or Democrats cope about this. We have better union policies, we have better wages policy. Yeah, that might be true, and I agree, but we don't get to decide who the party of the working class is.
Exactly.
The working class does.
And the working class is suffering. The working class. I said this before, but like, I don't think I said it for this like video yet. What's starting to happen a lot of is the middle class is starting to become more and more and more scarce. It's starting to either become lower poverty or more people here or more people here. There's no more of this. Or, well, it's starting to fade away. And you know what? That sucks. That sucks. The working class people are struggling. We're struggling. And it makes it so that now we're going into poverty, starting to rely more on the government. And that sucks. That sucks. Stuff like this should not be happening. It should not be happening. There is like little to no middle class nowadays. I remember growing up and we were somewhere, well, below. We were like, below, I've always been poor, but like at the same time though, like, my family tried and we did our fucking best. And I like to say this. So where I was growing up, that is where a lot of people are nowadays, if not a little bit lower. And that sucks. And that sucks. And like I said, we were poor. And nowadays, it's even worse. It is even worse.
And if exit polls are anything to go by, basic left-wing economic policy is still incredibly popular. People just hate the Democratic Party. White men without college degrees are going to ruin this country.
It's just a lot of the time, just people. It's just the people. Again, this aggression towards, again, white males, or just in general, just like these topics, again, that don't fucking matter. Makes it so like you don't want to be a part of it. You ever have somebody that is so extreme, maybe in their family, maybe an alcoholic? I fucking hate alcoholics. I'm telling you, I have too many families that are like that, or family members, where they're just like, okay, you're acting a little extreme. I don't want to be around you. I don't want to be around you. I don't care what you're saying. And we may have stuff that we're very similar on. We may have stuff where like, okay, I kind of agree on this and this, but we just don't want to be around you. You are too much for me. We want things to be a little bit more normal again. Like, I feel like gone are the days where things kind of feel a little bit normal. Now as everything is extreme. Nobody wants extremists. Not in our country. That is just, it's not a thing. Like, we shouldn't be doing that. We shouldn't be so extreme where we can't even listen to our fellow man and or woman. Also, Berserk, thank you so much for the gifted sub. By in the way, thank you. And Keynes, thank you so much for the 37. I appreciate that. Thank you.
First of all, white men without college degrees built this country, bitch. Second of all, this is apparently a real Democratic Party strategist saying this. You want to know how to win 2028? Step 1. Stop listening to freaks like this. The election, if having
fucking
a degree...
freaks. And you know what? It's all fucking Twitter shit. It's all fucking Twitter shit. Get off of Twitter. You ain't learning shit from there. The only time you go on Twitter is to watch fucking idiots fight. You know, I'm telling you. Loca en la cabeza. Those are dumbasses with the capital R.
Free was a requirement to vote. And this is what the election would look like if everyone was allowed to vote. Oh wait, that's this election. I too hate democracy.
And I think Bernie Sanders is wrong. I think the more relevant question actually is, what is wrong with America?
Democrats have a
that we let you speak. But at the same time, we live in the land of the free, where you can speak, even though sometimes you should. Silencios.
Smug problem. The day after the election,
or at least think about it. Or at least think about what you're gonna say, and then go ahead and speak. Think. Have you ever heard the term "think before you act"? It's kind of a big thing.
Circulated on Instagram that highlighting exit poll data showing that the more education you had, the more likely you would vote for Vice President Kamala Harris over President-elect Donald Trump. Some liberals used the occasion to look down upon the icky dummies who were too stupid to know they shouldn't vote for Trump. Yet Trump's victory was both definitive and diverse. He won broad swaths of the electorate, making significant gains in New York and California, and winning over larger percentages of Latino voters and young voters than in 2020.
They're going to be able to hit people that are more in the lower class and or like the middle class, because again, this is the majority of America. This is where the majority of fucking America is. You know, again, the educated, the scholars, that like everything else are gonna be like, well, I think we should vote for this. And you know, here's the thing: you can do whatever you want. You can vote for whoever the fuck you want. But like the majority of people are suffering, and this is where Trump actually pushed his campaign. And, you know, to be honest with you, smart, very smart.
He also won a majority of first-time voters. Large factions of the left condescendingly believe that dumb people are the reason Trump won in 2016 and won again in 2024. And that patronizing, visceral vibe is obvious. It's a massive turnoff to many other voters. It is a mountain smug Democrats have to overcome if they want to reconnect with voters. Once, the coastal liberal establishment had an air of open-mindedness. But now, these elites have evolved into the provincial, narrow-minded scolds they once critiqued.
Oh, by the way, off topic, I'm reading a couple of like chat. If you don't believe, or if you don't agree with me and stuff like that, like that's completely fine. That is completely fine. I'm going to be talking about stuff that I like, things that I feel, and just in general, like I have no side with things. So if you don't like something that I'm saying, that's completely fine. Like, you know, I feel like when people leave, they're like, I can't listen to this shit or whatever, that's kind of like the whole thing that we're talking about, right? With the whole like, hey, I think this and this. You don't have to agree with me on this, but at the same time, being able to listen to people like and their views and stuff like that, that's kind of the whole thing. That's the whole thing with like we were talking about, where people don't listen. They don't listen. They just care about their side of things. Like you may listen to another take that I have for another video, and you're like, oh, I completely agree with you. And then other things you'll be like, no, I don't. And that's fine. That's fine. And again, if I'm not your guys' content, that's also fine. Also, no fighting inside chat too. But like at the same time, political like debates, don't really like political things. But if you want to have like an actual like, you know, good conversation with people and it's more stable, that's awesome. That's the whole thing about freedom. So just something I was noticing inside chat. So
all their education has narrowed their worldview. Their credentialism has built themselves a bubble in which to hide from reality. The contempt many liberals and some leftists have for the working class has never been more on display than it is right now. Even coming from some leftist YouTubers I watch that I know better and spend a lot of their time trying to bring people to the left. Your college degree does not make you any smarter than a working class person without a college degree. And more—
I have a cousin that has a master's degree, and he is the dumbest fucking person I've ever fucking met. You know, like it goes from like book smart to street smart. Like they don't understand the common issues, and yet they're like, well, I have this. It's like, well, that's awesome, yippee for you. But guess what? You have done nothing with that degree. You don't have the job that you fucking went to school for. So what was the fucking point? Just to brag? Doesn't matter.
More importantly, don't talk down to a vast majority of the population.
That's what I'm saying.
Despite how badly you want
They talk
to believe
down.
it,
I'm like, that's
they are
not how it should work.
stupid. They are the people who grow your food, build your houses, pave your roads, fix
Exactly.
the plumbing in your luxury apartments. And guess what? There are more of them than they are of you. So maybe you people should start listening to them instead of wagging your finger in their faces as if disagreeing with you is some moral failing, because it's not. These people aren't all racists and Nazis or whatever. They are normal people.
Exactly.
They are the proletariat. They're who you should be fighting for.
And that's my thing, is that like when we talked about like people inside of chat, there's probably someone inside chat right now like, look at this Nazi. And I'm like I care for America. Listen, I was military for 12 years. I fought for my country. I lost friends. But like, so like, and again, you may not like what I like to say, but at the same time, this is my stance on like this, and this is something that I care about. You know, I care about this. Again, maybe I'm incorrect with certain stuff. Maybe I'm incorrect with how I feel, whatever, or well, in your personal perspective. But at the same time, though, we should be able to have that nice, very smart, educated conversation. So it's stuff like that, you know?
And they don't believe you are fighting for them. More importantly, there is a difference between being educated and being smart. IQ isn't just about how many books you read or how many words you know. A lot of it is about pattern recognition.
Didn't Einstein have like a giant fucking IQ, but like didn't finish school?
The bimbo with populist brain rot, because she seemed to be right about a lot of this. If the Democratic Party wants to win another election, they need to start understanding the importance of populism. Drop the divisive identity politics and focus on the bread and butter issues, or you are doomed. Become the party of Huey Long again, or you are doomed. But you know what? Maybe you're not doomed. Because if Trump fails to deliver on his promises, or we get like George Bush 3, it's totally possible that the populism vacuum will be open again. Will the Democrats take advantage of this and actually put up a good candidate? No. They're gonna put up like Pete Buttigieg or Gavin Newsom, and the populism vacuum will be filled by people like my Twitter mutual and soon to be Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance.
This is something that happens a lot, as you can probably tell. Either A, the president is going to pretty much follow, with whatever plan he has. Either A, he follows his plan and it succeeds, or it doesn't. And then guess what? Next year, it's probably going to be a Democrat thing. And then probably going to be a Republican thing. Or maybe it's like half and half, and then we do Democrat, and then we'll do Republican, and then maybe another one. It is a cycle that happens over and over and over again. Sometimes I just feel like to myself that it is rigged. Sometimes I feel like that. I feel like we just go in like a never-ending cycle. But, I don't know.
That is still so weird. What do I do with this power? Hey, JD, best buddy, I have an idea.
I don't know this person.
Patriot Care, and it's healthcare, but our tax dollars.
Oh, don't start talking about healthcare.
Of bombs. Doesn't that sound cool? Can't be.
Don't start talking about healthcare right now. Oh boy.
The fact is, this election was a complete rejection of the liberal ideology, or it was just because of inflation and people want to afford eggs again. Yeah, it was probably that. It just kind of sucks to see the party you voted for your whole life, the party you grew up with, just get worse and worse over time. After this, the Democrats are gonna move right in the dumbest ways. They're gonna become like the new neocons, but gay. And I have no idea how a second Trump term is gonna go. I hope it goes well.
Yeah.
I don't know. Congrats to RFK, I guess. I'll see you guys in the Adderall labor camps. Otherwise known as the concentration camps.
Oh boy, Addie is
Get it? Okay. Anyway, so that is enough of my yapping. Now I want to hear you yap. Why do you think Trump won? And what could the Democrats do to win 2028? Anyway, if you liked this video, please consider subscribing. Also, if you can, donate to me on Patreon, or you could do a little tip with the little tip jar down below somewhere. It helps the channel a lot, and I appreciate it so much. And I will see you very soon with a new video that is very, very different than this one. Some of you might like it. I know a certain community will. But that is it for now, so bye!
Well, I like this video. This is really nice. Again, and this is kind of how I know these kind of videos are actually pretty solid, is because, again, I don't really like politics stuff. Look at the videos that we have now. They are far from that. They are fucking far from that. But at the same time, though, current issues, current topics, it's stuff like that that I really like to talk about. You know, I like to be able to talk about things that maybe sometimes people don't want to talk about. But I like this. It's really good. It's stuff like that that makes you think. People don't want to think nowadays. People don't want to think. People don't want to think. And to go off of her question she was saying about like the whole like Trump thing. We were talking about it earlier. People want to see real. People want to see backbone. People want to be able to see things where they're like, hey, let's actually have legitimate change. Again, will it actually happen? Just like she was saying, maybe, maybe not. And then again, after we're done with that, in 2028, I was like, wait a minute. Will we see the other side? Who knows? But what we do know, what I know, is that just like she said, I would like to see groceries and eggs and that stuff to be affordable. Please and thank you. Please and thank you. I like to be able to have people where they can afford a house, to be able to live their life, not paycheck to paycheck, but to be able to live, quote unquote, the American dream. To be able to understand like, hey, I want to be able to do this. I want to be able to take vacations. I want to be able to do things with my family, see the world, do stuff like that. Now, some people said that it's impossible. And you know, sometimes I'm like, is it? It's hard to say. It's hard to say. I wish and I pray that maybe one of these days, may not be, like maybe we can do more, but who knows? But what I can say is this, regardless of if you like president or if you do or don't, like you should support him, because at the end of the day, he is your president. He is somebody that currently is in office. And again, we should not be divided. This should be a team. This should be people that are like, hey, we want to see America great. We want to be able to prosper. We want to be able to, in general, just feel like we can actually like do stuff nowadays, to be able to live life. And again, not just getting by day, but to be able to be like, hey, like I can do more than just this, to feel hope. We talked about people not feeling like they can even do things nowadays. They feel depressed. They feel like they can't do stuff. And that sucks. That sucks. You know, like I remember when I left the house, I went to military immediately right afterwards. And here's the thing. There were times I'm like, man, I don't know if I can do this, or I don't know if I can like actually get to the positions that I want to. But I knew, at least at the time, that when there's a will, there is a way. And I want people to feel like they can do that. No more depression. Well, there's always going to be. There's always going to be. But like no more of this doom scrolling, like depression, like I can't do anything. I'm just going to stay here forever. Like you can do it. You can do it. We all can do it. We just have to be able to support our fellow man and woman. So yeah, overall, really good video. I like this one. Hopefully you guys liked it also. Please go and check out Shu. She is really cool. I've done, 2 or 3 videos like with her. Like I said, again, we're very new with a lot of, reaction content stuff. So please go and check her out. She seems very nice. She seems very nice. I like her takes. I think we're like similar age. So maybe that's also another reason. We're 90s babies. But yeah, I like her. Please go and check her out. And really good video.